Hello, my name is Debbie O'Leary. I'm a transportation planner here to present the applications to the 2025 Southern California Association of Governments Call for Project Nominations for Surface Transportation Block Grant Program and Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Program grant funds. Recommendation is that the City Council approve and authorize the submission of 4 grant applications for Surface Transportation Block Grant, STBG Program, and Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality, CMAQ, CMAQ Improvement Program in various amounts with an 11.47% match requirement. Number 2, City Manager or Designee to execute the grant agreements. 3, Finance Director or Designee to submit financial reports, grant claims, and approve budget appropriations for the use of grant funds. And 4, Public Works Director or Designee to submit non-financial reports. Background is the Surface Transportation Block Grant, STBG program, is a federal transportation funding source for projects that preserve and improve the conditions and performance of highways, bridges, public roads, pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure, and transit capital projects. The CMAQ, Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Improvement Program, is also a federal transportation funding source for projects and programs that reduce traffic and improve air quality for areas that do not meet the national ambient air quality standards for ozone, carbon monoxide, or particulate matter. These are called non-attainment areas. And the entire SCAG region falls under a non-attainment area. SCAG is responsible for the project selection process for these 2 grant programs in the region, and the grant programs again require that 11.47% local match. So on March 31st, 2025, SCAG opened the call for project nominations to fund projects in fiscal years 26-27 and 27-28. The applications are due May 16th of this year. There is $1.2 billion in federal transportation funding for the entire SCAG region. And of that $1.2 billion, $80 million is anticipated to be awarded for projects within Ventura County. So the 2 grant funding programs are that STBG and CMAQ. Below are types of projects that are commonly awarded funding. So the STBG program usually aims to enhance and improve highways, interchanges, bridges, roads, increasing the pavement condition index, which are the resurfacing type projects, pedestrian infrastructure, and transit capital. Whereas the CMAQ program supports projects that are focused on reducing congestion, improving the air quality, enhancing bicycle infrastructure, and providing pedestrian improvements. So SCAG's grant application tool is complex, and it requires quantitative and narrative responses with projects that will score highest based on the following elements. The first one is that VCTC will make a recommendation, and they'll base that on eligibility, deliverability, and readiness. If projects include any transit coordination, our community stakeholder engagement, if the project is included in regional transportation plans, and if it includes accessibility improvements. The second area is regional priorities. So projects that will be successful will be any of these types of projects, which may involve clean transportation, transit or multimodal integration, projects that enhance goods movement, again, the pavement management type projects, complete streets that provide safe use and mobility for all users, not just vehicles. And again, the system preservation to maintain our existing transportation systems and facilities. Number 3, projects will be successful if they meet the federal performance management areas, which include improvements to emissions, improvements to travel time, projects that will reduce fatalities, improve transit facilities, and projects that may be on the national highway system of bridges or pavement rehabilitation. The fourth area are projects that will provide economic development for disadvantaged community access. So these include improvements to destinations, enhancements to mobility options, obviously the biking and walking type improvements, grade separations, reducing truck volumes, and resilient improvements for any areas that might have climate risk. The final area is going to be reviewed for projects that are only asking for the CMAQ funding, and part of the grant application will quantify the cost effectiveness percentile based on, again, that grant application. And projects will be successful that reduce particular matter emissions. So Public Works staff analyzed 23 projects that included existing CIP projects, as well as some new project ideas to find ones that can best fit the scoring criteria and be successful. So careful consideration was given to projects that can meet the strict federal requirements by the deadline for each of the programming years. So the first programming year of 26-27 has a deadline of September 30th, 2029, and the second year is 27-28, and that deadline is September 30th of 2030. SCAG will award projects in the funding years. Requirements to follow the federal requirements will include the environmental NEPA clearance. All right-of-way will have to be acquired, all utility agreements executed, and there's a number of federal funding authorization requirements that need to be met. So as a result of this effort, staff recommends the following 4 CIP projects for this round of funding. The first one is neighborhood street resurfacing. And the scope of work will resurface existing asphalt concrete pavement and provide pedestrian ramps and sidewalk accessibility improvements. The locations are expected to include Carriage Square, Wilson, Marina West, Fremont South, Hobson Park East, Blackstock North, Cypress, Golf Course, and the Terrace Estates neighborhoods. This grant request will be just over $14 million requested in the first year of funding, 26-27. So staff has until September 30th of 2029 to meet all of those federal requirements. The match for this application would be just over 1.6 million, coming from gas tax, Measure O, and or the general fund. The second application is for the US 101 Del Norte interchange upgrade, specifically to update the 2007 environmental document, which was the environmental assessment and draft environmental impact report. This will prepare that report and update it from that previous effort. The location of this project is on that Del Norte Boulevard Bridge over the 101 freeway and the on and off ramps. This grant request, again, just for that environmental phase, is 3.5 million in the second year of funding, 27-28. We will have until 2030 to meet the deadlines, and it will have just over a $400,000 match from development impact fees and or the general fund. The third application is for the Oxnard Boulevard Bicycle Facilities installation. Again, this is an existing CIP project. It does already have federal funding, and the scope of work is to install Class 2 bicycle facilities, the bike lane, the green conflict striping for bike lanes, pedestrian signal improvements at the 101 freeway off-ramps at Oxnard Boulevard, new sidewalk, signing, striping, and again, accessibility improvements. The bike lane location, again, is on Oxnard Boulevard from Town Center Drive to Wagon Wheel Drive, a Class 2 on-street with the green paint, and the enhanced bicycle and pedestrian improvements at those off-ramps. The new sidewalk will occur on Oxnard Boulevard and be from Orchard Place to the Vineyard Shopping Plaza. This grant request is expected to be at 1.7 million in the first year of funding, with all of those deadlines due in 2029, and it will have just over $194,000 match from development impact fees and or the general fund. The fourth and final application is for the Accessible Pedestrian Enhancements Project. Again, an existing project in the CIP with existing federal funding. The scope of this project is to install those accessible pedestrian countdown signal heads, also leading pedestrian intervals, some curb extensions, upgrade those curb ramps, high visibility crosswalks, again with the green striping for the bike lanes, signage for pedestrians and bicyclists. The exhibit on this page shows the various locations. There's 17 of them citywide. You can see that here. And the grant request will be $650,000 in that first year of funding, the deadline of 2029, and the match amount just over $74,000 coming from Mobility Fee Fund and or the general fund. So of the 23 projects that we researched, 19 of those were deemed as non-competitive for this grant cycle for the following reasons. 11 are in future years, and they're not yet developed with enough of a conceptual design or have cost estimates. 3 have state funding, and if they were to be awarded and we added federal funding, they would face delays, and that could jeopardize the existing state funding. 2 of the projects are resurfacing projects, which would also face delay if they were awarded federal funding and had to go through NEPA and right-of-way acquisitions and utility agreements and so on. 2 of the projects did not meet enough of the grant objectives to be competitive, and 1 did not qualify. So SCAG estimates that the list of successful applications will be released sometime in this December. And the future call for projects are going to be anticipated every 2 years. So those projects that did not make it this time will absolutely be considered and prepped for future grant opportunities, both these and others. The financial impact. If successful, staff will appropriate Federal Grant Fund 200 in the amount awarded. The match funding of 11.47% will come from the respective sources identified in the adopted 2025 to 2029 CIP for each project, including General Fund, Measure O, Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Fund, Development Impact Fees, and the 2014 Lease Revenue Bond Funds, or additional funding requests will be submitted to the City Council for their consideration. This concludes my presentation. Thank you.